G'day, Agent Mahari here. Borderlines don't love you. They do not attach to you either. Why would I be doing yet another video about this? Well, comment on my video, Borderlines can't and won't love you and can't attach either. But a commenter says, I hear you say BPDs cannot love or bond, but I also hear you say that there are many different presentations of the illness. My ex has many of the symptoms you are describing in that video. But she seems capable of loving and bonding when she is stable. It's almost impossible for me to see what this was, that this was not the case. Let me just state right out flatly, first of all, really seriously, codependent denial. Because if you're correct about being with somebody with BPD, undiagnosed or untreated, how many people with codependency don't say, but like, hey, I'm pretty sure the person I'm with loves me, which leads to a lot of pain. Pain that is now being exacerbated by many people with codependency after that person with BPD, untreated BPD or suspected BPD, is now your ex. This reaching back, this rumination, this constant thinking about it. People with codependency have to stop and think and go forward in their own healing and recovery journeys instead of dwelling on, did he or she with BPD really love me? And this denial that people feel like they were really loved by somebody with suspected or untreated borderline personality. Because the thing is, the lens through which you're looking, the lens of your experience even, what you believed through your codependency, what you believed and what you needed to believe, more to the point, what the belief that you externalized out in a codependent repetition compulsion cycle or many cycles is a belief that you're now still thinking about, holding on to, questioning, that's holding up your healing and recovery journey in rumination and trying to figure out the quote why, unquote, figure it all out, as if you can logically do that, because your lens for how you feel that you were so loved, let me just try to be really gentle here when I say this, it's a faulty lens. It's a lens that is steeped in denial, and it's a lens that also goes back to whatever happened with the parent, why you have a wounded inner child. So there's a duality to this feeling that the person with BPD, the ex, either suspected of having BPD or untreated with BPD, must have loved me, or I know they did because this, that, the other thing. And it's just continuing to exacerbate the pain of people with codependency who are continuing to wonder about this. And let me just say, also add in, that people with codependency don't have the healthiest style of love either. And that can be a really difficult aspect of something to look at and learn more about yourself in healing and recovery from codependency, as well as the relationship with somebody with suspected or untreated borderline personality. So this lens of, but I know the person that I was with loved me, is a codependent, externalized out, repetition compulsion, wherein your experience at least needs to be re-examined to the point, and I don't just mean the comment or anyone, to the point where you have to look at where's the objectivity and what you felt versus what was likely, and in more cases than not, really what was actually not present, the love that wasn't actually present. And then the commenter continues, are there versions of this disorder? Versions. Interesting. I don't know. Where the BPD partner can actually show real signs of bonding and love, but then something triggers it and off she goes. Or is her, quote, love, unquote, and, quote, bonding, unquote, merely, as you say, her way of defining her own self and getting her own needs met through me? I'm having a lot of difficult time understanding that, and there are lower levels of this that present inconsistently with how you typically describe it in your videos. Without trying to invalidate anybody's understanding, perception of their own experience, of the way that they feel loved, I think it's really important to point out here, again, that the commenter, as I'm sure many people are thinking about and ruminating about the codependency with an ex with suspected BPD or untreated BPD, how I typically describe it in my videos is accurate for those that are suspected of having BPD or have untreated BPD. It's accurate. I'm not trying to in any way say that somebody doesn't know what their own experience is, because there's what you feel and there's what you believe, and then what people need to learn in getting into their own healing and recovery journey. It's a multifaceted, multi-layered recovery process with codependency, and also from the relationship, people need to learn that maybe it's still the codependent lens or codependent need, for lack of a better way to put it. People with codependency still have this need to believe, and do strongly believe, that they were loved. That is the feeling component of the experience that ties back into the idealization, their love bombing, and who you thought they were. And how much do people with codependency after the relationship is over, or when you're not sure, you're still there, on, off, etc. But when you've learned more, you can at least identify that they likely have BPD or they have untreated BPD. The lens of that first experience that people are so trying to get back to, so trying to recapture, that, you know, this could be prevalent in the continued denial that you thought they loved you, that you feel so strongly that they loved you. Because I just really want to assert gently that what I'm saying in these videos is accurate, until unless somebody with BPD has had really significant treatment. They don't know how to love, and they don't know how to attach, and they don't know how to receive your love. And people with codependency, until you get into your own healing and recovery process for your own codependency recovery and recovery from the relationship, can't really find their way to a deeper understanding, to a more objective point of view, because of what you felt so strongly, and how that ties back in to the wounded inner child. Not all people with BPD are exactly the same, but if they're untreated, I think it pretty much holds across the whole spectrum of untreated, that they're not capable of love and they're not capable of bonding because, you know, they lack that self. But what are some reasons why codependents love toxic relationships and unavailable partners? Of course, you don't consciously love that. Toxic relationships make people feel good, right? In the beginning, initially, borderline or narcissist and emotionally unavailable people are good at doing things to make you feel like they care and, quote, love you in limited doses, right? They typically have a lot of experience in doing enough to make you feel secure. Yeah, they're really capable of misleading people. And then people with codependency who might not know this in the beginning have to start to really realize, when you sort of get an idea what's going on, that then you got to watch out for that denial. Well, you know, I hear borderlines untreated can't love and they can't attach, but oh, geez, mine loves me, which is often just really denial. And or again, that sort of place where the wounded inner child connects, you know, to like, my parents must have loved me, hey, to where that connects to the same kind of denial. But not everybody with codependency has super abusive parents, but, you know, usually something goes wrong. And whatever is unhealed from each person with codependency's childhood is exactly how you got into the relationship with a borderline or a narcissist, and it's why you then believed and felt that they loved you, because of the way it goes, in the sense that you couldn't know any better, and consciously there's no way you could have known what was going to happen with a person with suspected or untreated borderline personality, and you may well have never heard of it. So there's no way that you could have protected yourself. And yet, as I've said in other videos, you were carrying within you, and still are, in your interpretation right now, your rumination. And the reason why therapy is the answer to help yourself with your codependency and also healing from the relationship, and not stay stuck in this rumination and this looking back and this, what really is a bit of a distorted view within the codependent narrative of what you're still wanting to believe about a parent that's now being projected out on to the borderline X.